Capitol Hill. Let's talk about it with Congressman Pete Hoekstra, the Michigan Republican, ranking member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman Hoekstra was just in Afghanistan last month. So the idea that the president has just expressed, sending 4,000 extra troops, primarily trainers, to train the Afghan military, on top of the 17,000 extra troops that he's already asked for, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that is exactly the direction that we need to be moving in. We do need to get more Afghan police and the Afghan military trained if we expect to have some kind of stability and security and in Afghanistan. The key here, John, is are these going to be enough to get the job done? Are the 17,000, are the 4,000, are those enough to get the job done? I think that's the question as to whether that's the right number or whether there should be more.
Well, he says that he wants to make this the solution to the long-standing feuds in that part of the world. He wants to make it a sort of a regional effort. He wants to bring in Russia and China and Saudi Arabia and a lot of other countries. Is that just smart diplomacy or is that naive?
Well, we know that as we've been in Afghanistan, putting together the NATO coalition and getting us all working off the same page has been very, very difficult. I think that you also have to take a look at this, that the Chinese, the Russians, in many of these countries maybe have different agendas in Afghanistan than what we have. To the extent that they can be involved and they can support the objectives that we have, that NATO has, and that what the Afghan government has, great. That's going to be positive. But, I think it's problematic bringing all of those folks in, believing that they are going to be there constructively helping us get the job done.
There's been talk of increasing foreign aid to the Pakistan government, for instance. At the same time, we have a great number of concerns that the Pakistan intelligence service is actually supporting the Taliban. Why give money to a government that may be operating against our own interests?
Well, that's why, John, I think it shows that this is going to be so hard. You've got conflicting pressures. You do need to have economic development. You do have to have some kind of economic hope and opportunity for the people in parts of this country if you're going to see them step away from al-Qaeda and Taliban. I think the positive things that you have here is that the president is putting a focus on this and saying we are going to defeat al-Qaeda, we are going to defeat the Taliban. He's putting more resources against this from a military standpoint, from an economic development standpoint. Those are positive things. But then you're absolutely right. There are going to be conflicting pressures. There's going to be opportunities to criticize this administration by saying you're giving money to parts of to a government that on occasion may not be fully supportive of what we're doing, and in some cases they may actually be undermining. But as with many of these issues, we're dealing in gray areas. If it were black and white, it would be easy. It's not easy. This is going to be a very hard problem to solve. I hope that the president continues having the dialogue with the Hill, with Republicans and Democrats to develop a unified strategy in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. It's the only way we have a chance of being successful.
We've noted that you were in Afghanistan just last month. It has often been said that the surge strategy that worked so well in Iraq won't necessarily work the same way in Afghanistan. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. The conditions in Afghanistan are very, very different. Not only in Iraq did we make a change with putting more troops in, but we also had the opportunity to, kind of change our relationship with the Sunni tribal leaders in Al-Anbar province. Those couple of things combined really did change the dynamics in Iraq. You don't have the same kind of leverage or the same points where you can push and get the same kind of change in Afghanistan. This is Afghanistan is very different than Iraq. We shouldn't assume that the strategies that worked in Iraq are going to work in Afghanistan.
Pete Hoekstra, a member of the Intelligence Committee, Congressman from Michigan. Thank you.
Look to do grocery